Welcome to 411 Now. If you're new here, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Will Finley, and I am the independent crime journalist behind all the content here on this YouTube channel, 411 Now. To all my returning viewers and subscribers out there, thank you again for being here with me today. Today, we're taking a look at Josh Duggar and what the first 48 hours of Josh Duggar's life in federal penitentiary will be like. Now, regardless if he is sent to Texas or Oklahoma, or if he does his time in a federal penitentiary somewhere in the state of Arkansas, or the fourth option is they put Josh in what's called the prisoner exchange program, where they could send him anywhere in the United States. Sure, they will listen to his family and they will take in consideration, they say, what hardships will be bestowed upon them to visit him with his 7 children and his wife Anna. They will take that into consideration, but they could send him as far away as Juneau, Alaska. Most likely, though, he will go to either Texas or Oklahoma. And this is basically the same schedule that they use in every federal penitentiary. What will life be like the first day of Josh's life? Let's get into it. Chances are that from the get-go, the very first day that Josh Duggar is in a federal penitentiary is a day that he is never going to forget. It is going to be burned into his memory for the rest of his life. He will remember just how traumatic and how unreal it was. This happens to all prisoners, and it's going to happen to Josh Duggar. The very first thing after he arrives at the actual prison is he will either get off of a van or a bus or some kind of transportation that took him inside of the actual prison itself. There, he will go to what's called R&D, which is receiving in discharge. At that time, they will go through everything that he has brought with him. All of his belongings are in a plastic or paper bag, depending upon which one they have. If he has a lot of items, they're in a plastic garbage bag, and he will go through each and every item, and they will decide what he can keep with him and bring into the federal prison, what needs to be thrown away, and what on top of everything else will be put away for when he gets out of prison and has served out his time. Also at that time, another guard will come by and actually, confirm with him his name, his social security number, and other important information like you're on medication. What kind of medication are you on? Do you need to see the doctor today? Do you need to see the dentist or someone to get a pair of glasses if you need glasses? Normally, checking in through the system in the federal prison system, you're allowed to keep 2 pairs of glasses, reading glasses, but they have to meet certain strict requirements, just like in jail. You're not allowed to have just any old glasses there. And if they do not meet the requirements, you will have to buy prison issue glasses. After they've gone through all of that, they will be then lined up and follow the leader kind of thing, just like on the playground, good old Joshy. He will go into another room where they will be strip searched down to absolutely nothing. They are not allowed to have anything on at all. They will then turn around, place their hands on handprints that are on the wall or above a line, depending upon which prison it is, put his hands on the wall, and then bend over, spread his butt cheeks, and cough. They're looking for hidden items in the anus of the inmate coming in. All the items that they have will be one by one approved or disproved by a guard. You're not allowed to bring in certain types of underwear. You're not allowed to bring in certain kinds of socks, with colors on them. No butterflies for you, Josh. Just plain white boxers and plain white socks. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what you get. You don't even deserve that, but that's what you're going to be wearing underneath your prison outfit. After they've gone through the complete process of strip searching them and just taking away items that they are not allowed, and their inventory has been completed in and then locked away either in a cardboard box, a paper bag, whatever it may be. They then are issued a prison outfit, which if they don't have socks on, they consist of socks, underwear, and either a jumpsuit or pants and shirt. In Josh's case, in federal prison, he will get basically what amounts to scrubs, a pair of scrub bottoms and top that have the Department of Corrections written all over them in big, giant black letters. Yes, the fashion icon is going to be wearing a new kind of fashion. After that, he will then, and along with everybody else, will then be led into another area or in the same room on the opposite side of the room where he will be fingerprinted and photographed. The photograph is important. Don't forget to smile, Josh, because this is going on your not only your prison jacket, it will be stapled to your actual belongings, but it'll be the ID photo for your prison, and you will carry with you at all times to gain access and deny access to any area he may be going. And it's also important that you smile for your photo ID, Josh, because you want to look the best, because that photo will be used and be sent out as part of a media packet for the new inmates who've just been brought into the prison. So please, Josh, smile. He's received his prison ID. They scan it for the first time to make sure that it's correct. Then he's off to admissions and orientation. Learn the quick rules of prison, Josh. Don't do this, don't do that. But please, whatever you do, Josh, enjoy your time. You're going to be here for an awful long time. After admissions and orientation, they then line up again. Yes, Josh, lining up again. Line up again for your bedroll. They then give you a bedroll, which consists of a mattress, a sheet, not a fitted sheet, but just a top sheet that you would find on a bed. And if you're lucky, Josh, you'll get a pillowcase along with your pillow. Otherwise, you're going to get a pillow that has been in the prison system all these awfully long years. It may be just a thin little thing, Josh, but it's the most comfortable thing you're going to get. And hopefully you get that pillowcase so you'll have something to cry into. Then it's off to line up again after you've received your bedroll. You then will be then given your housing unit number. Hopefully you've made friends with some of the other people through intake, and you've been able to make at least one person who you trust, Josh, and who is not going to try to jump on your case or rat you out in a moment to try to get a reduction on their time. Josh, you're going to enjoy the rest of this time, because now it's time to line up to go to your housing units. Depending upon what time of day you actually gets through orientation, because if it's only a few people, you quickly go through orientation and make it to your housing unit, i.e., otherwise known as a pod. You will get to your housing unit, and then you'll be shown to your actual cell, which in the actual housing unit. Yes, it is only one person to a cell. Don't worry, Josh. We know you don't get along with a lot of other people, so we've placed you in your own room all by yourself. It should be noted that Josh Duggar will be in what's called a protective custody unit, or a PCU. No, he won't be in the SHU, which is a basic segregation, but we'll get to that in just a minute. At any time from the time that Josh Duggar steps off of the bus until before he gets to his housing unit, he can ask the guards and tell them that he does not feel safe in prison, or will not feel safe in protective custody, and he wants to be placed in the special housing unit, otherwise known as SHU, SHU. If he wants to be placed in that, that is basically like going to segregation, a disciplinary segregation for months or years on end. Yes, if he wants to, he could serve out his entire 20-year sentence, or 15, or how many years he gets in a SHU, where he will be one person to a cell and be left alone in the dark for 23 hours a day. Well, If he's lucky, he'll be in the dark. But most of them, it's the lights on, no sleeping for you in a protective housing unit. After he's made it to his housing unit and he has put his things away in his housing unit, he will then be able to meet and greet, meet your new friends, Josh. Get to know them well. You're going to be with these guys for an awfully long time. There, shortly thereafter, you may have to line up again. You're not going anywhere to eat your meals. If you end up in Oklahoma, we're in the sex offender, segregation there, or in either one of the two prisons there in Texas for special offenders like you, Josh. Yes, you're not going anywhere to receive your meals. Your meals are going to come to your housing unit. No mess hall for you, Josh. Don't worry. The normal inmates, those in general population, will not be getting to you. What you need to worry about is the 20 other guys who are in your housing unit, other sick, depraved individuals just like you, Josh. Hopefully, none of them have a thing for younger Baptist Christians like yourself. Be scared, Josh, because you never know who's got a shank and who doesn't. Who's going to come to you and run a railroad all over you? Toot, toot. Yes, it's time to get on the crazy train, Josh, because you're now in a protective housing unit, but it is the closest thing to hell that you're going to get to anytime soon. They don't want to kill you, Josh. They just want you to suffer. Suffer long, long, hard suffering, Josh. Day two. What will day two be like and when will it start? Well, first off, wake up call is at 5 a.m. 5 a.m., Josh. I hope you like waking up early because you're going to get used to it. Breakfast is served promptly in the protective housing units in both Oklahoma and in Texas at 6 a.m. If he has been assigned a job yet, it might be cleaning in the actual housing unit. You're now our new floor mopper. You will now mop the floors every day for your 17 cents a day pay. Yes, they don't make much. They get paid pennies on the hour. It's not much, but it's something. He can buy a ramen noodle with it or something eventually down the road while he's piled up enough of it. But work starts exactly at 7 a.m. From 7 to 10 a.m., he must work. At 11, they get a 30-minute break for lunch. Since he's not going anywhere and he's stuck in his housing unit, he will take his lunch break right there in the housing unit where he's been working all this time. Ain't that great? You're going to enjoy it, Josh. 1 to 2 o'clock, again, it's back to work, working again. And after work at 2 o'clock, it's back to your housing unit, but you're there. So you're going to be stuck in your housing unit. He can hope eventually to get a job somewhere else in the prison, but please note that it has to be somewhere where general population is not allowed. It has to be either on a special shift in the kitchen cooking meals. It could be in the library when there's no other general population inmates around. It has to be somewhere, again, where general population is not allowed. They do not want even one person from general population being around those who are special like Josh, because they will be preyed upon, they will be murdered, they will be abused, they will be extorted in some way or form. It will happen. Time and time again, it has been proven that it will happen to people like Josh. He's got that to look forward to every single day that he's in prison. There is no working your way up in the cred within prison to be somewhat of a statute of importance or that where people won't mess with you. No, From day one, from the moment he walks into that federal penitentiary, they're going to be gunning for him. They're gunning for every single one of those inmates. And the general population would love nothing more than to get their hands on just one of them or all of them. Back to his housing unit again at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is open to do whatever he wants, read, watch TV, but that's it. If he wants to, he can. Write letters to home. He will not have access until later on, months down the road, if at the longest, but usually about 2 to 3 weeks after he arrives, before he will be allowed access to be able to communicate in other methods. Depending upon which prison he goes to, he will have access to be able to email or do, it's kind of like a Skype call or a Zoom call with his family back home. And there is no in-person, meetings, in the beginning of his prison sentence there, regardless if he's sent to Oklahoma or to Texas or in the state of Arkansas. For security reasons, they do not allow it at first. He will be, we have the ability to make phone calls, Skype calls, emails, and send home letters. And they can do the same, write letters to him, send him little cards to put up on his wall. But as long as it's approved, it's not pornographic, it'll be allowed. And again, no conjugal visits for Josh at any time, ever, in the entire time he is in the federal prison system. If he wants to exercise, that comes at 4 p.m. From 4 p.m. for 30 minutes, they are allowed to go outside in an area that is only for those in the protective housing unit, such as Josh, where he can exercise, maybe play, a lovely game of handball, or shoot some baskets, or maybe just walk in circles like so many others do. Just walk in circles for exercise and keep on doing it, Josh, and get used to it and enjoy it, because you're going to be doing it for an awfully long time, every single day. Religious time is flexible, and along with those who go to NA and AA meetings. It usually starts at 5 p.m. and goes to 7, but it's flexible, as especially right now because of the COVID lockdown. They're not allowing anybody into the federal prisons from outside to actually hold classes, religious services, or actual support classes like NA or AA. Those are all being run by inmates from within. And let me talk about the explosive nature of COVID in a closed environment such as a prison or jail. It's so lovely, more than a 90% infection rate when it comes to something like COVID, because everyone is closed in a small area, and it's so easy to transmit COVID from one inmate to another, from a guard to inmates, and vice versa. But after 7 p.m., he returns to his cell at approximately 8 o'clock. He is allowed to, kind of hang out, read, study the Bible, whatever he may have that he has been granted access to at that point. Now, we're talking about day 2. On day 2, he's not going to have anything at all. He's not going to have a Bible. He's not going to have the ability to email. He's not going to have the ability to do anything except for write a letter and maybe read something if another inmate feels so inclined to give it to Josh. Otherwise, he will be on his own. But at 10 o'clock exactly, lights out, they turn the TV off, everything at 10. And so there is no late night TV. There are no personal radios allowed in either Texas or in Oklahoma in the actual individual cells. At a later date, if he can afford it, in the state of Texas, he is allowed to buy a television, a small see-through plastic flat screen TV that he can watch actual TV on in his cell. But that's going to be much later. They don't allow these things for good reason, because he could self-injure himself with it. They want to make sure he follows the rules, because the orientation part of it, and admissions and orientation that he went through in the beginning on day 1, is important to see if he follows along with those rules. And you might be asking, wait a minute, What about showering? What about personal time? When's Josh supposed to be able to use the bathroom? We want to know about these things. Anytime, right after breakfast, before he has to report to work or leave for work. If he's working outside of the cell, he has a time there where eat as fast as you can or whatever. If you need more time, they're not going to make time for you to shower, but your fellow inmates are going to make damn sure you use deodorant and that you shower on a regular basis. Otherwise, let's just say that a bar of soap in a sock, Josh, doesn't feel well when it hits you over and over and over again. You may have seen this happen in the movie Full Metal Jacket, where they beat him with a bar of soap in a sock. This happens all the time in prison. Or they put a padlock in a sock and do the same thing. He's going to make sure that after he eats his breakfast, he quickly showers and gets dressed and is ready to report for work on time. If he has a job and he doesn't report on time, he will lose his job. They're not messing around. There are people lined up willing to take your job right next to you. And every inmate wants a job. They want to be able to earn something and have something to do all throughout the day besides just staring at a concrete cinder block wall. Because during the times when people are working, the TV is not necessarily on in the actual multi-use room. Other inmates may have them in their cells, but not in the general use room. And when I said there are 20 other inmates besides Josh, there are a total of 22 cells in the actual pod. The last cell on the bottom lower tier, because there is a two-tier system upstairs and downstairs, the lower one is a segregation cell for an inmate who may act up, or maybe they're doing a strip search or a shakedown of his cell. But that is what that last cell is used for. No one stays in there on a permanent basis. It's only a temporary housing. And if the inmate is still acting up, then they then take them out of that to segregation. Checking in is what is called in prison. When somebody says they want to go to segregation, it's called checking in. Josh can check in at any time. If he feels unsafe, he can go to a guard and say, I need to go to a segregated housing unit, the SHU. I don't feel safe here. It may take a couple hours, but in between then and the time he tells the guard that, he could become victimized again, if that's what he's fearing. But anyways, that's the first 48 hours of Josh's life in federal penitentiary. Regardless, again, if he goes to Texas, Oklahoma, or stays in the state of Arkansas, or wherever he goes, it's basically the same 48 hours. And he's going to enjoy it. And it's going to put a giant smile on his face again, isn't it? If you enjoyed this content, give this video a thumbs up. And thank you again for being here today and enjoying this content with me. You stay safe out there and have